In these scenarios, nobody wins. The suspect doesn't win, the family of the suspect doesn't win, but neither does the officer. It always baffles me of why people continue to try to run from officers even when they are in handcuffs.
It looked like an Indian.
Did this man really just lick this machete? We see these pursuits frequently, and it just seems like just any other one. Until this next thing happens, what we're about to watch. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Tillman Show, and boy, do we have an episode for you. Today, we're going to break down 4 recent police videos that have been trending all online, and I'm going to give you guys my expert opinion on what I think about each and every one of those videos. But before we get into it, like I always say, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most importantly, turn those notification bells on because you always want to get notified anytime we drop a new video. But without further ado, what I like to do is I like to jump right into it. And the first video we're going to break down today is one that comes to us from Aurora, Colorado. Now, I recently saw a video online where there was an officer who was encountering a suspect on what looked to be a residential street, and the suspect's not cooperating. Let's watch the initial video. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about what happened in this incident. This officer, he goes to conduct a traffic enforcement stop on this suspect. The suspect had multiple violations, and then after he also tries to conduct the traffic enforcement stop, he rams 2 other people. So now he's not only had been involved in some traffic collisions, but he also has some traffic violation. The officer goes to contact him, and the suspect is not complying. Now, one thing that most people don't know about this video, because this was not in the information that was on Instagram, is that the suspect actually threw a firearm out the window during the initial encounter. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because the officer, who is by himself, recognizes that this guy is a threat and he has access to weapons. So let's continue to watch the video and see how it unfolds, and then we'll talk about whether or not the officer's actions at the very end of it were justified. Let's continue to watch. So I want you guys to realize that at this moment, the officer is by himself. Like I said before, he's given this suspect multiple chances to de-escalate. He is trying to tell him to cooperate, put his hands in the air, and all sorts of things, and the suspect's still not complying. The other thing that I want you guys to pick up on is the fact that the officer is in the middle of the intersection, or at least working his way into the middle of the intersection. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, cars that aren't paying attention, cars that are coming, that now puts this officer in danger. So I'm not trying to make excuses for the officer or what he's about to do next, but what I am trying to do is give you a little bit more insight and context as to what's going on in this officer's mind and the reason why he's about to utilize the level of force that we're about to witness. Let's watch the end of this encounter. And like I said before, because this is YouTube, we can't always show you everything about this video. Let's watch. So the officer elects to utilize what we call lethal force, and the suspect is unalived. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is another innocent black man who's killed by a police officer. And I have to tell you, and I have to caution you on saying that or spreading that rhetoric, just because we don't know everything that went into this. A few things to note. Number one is the video that we're witnessing right now is coming from bystanders. It's not coming from the body cam yet. And bystander video is always going to be different from the agency video just because you never know what other details they're going to leave out. Number two is that we don't even know if this officer saw something or heard something that we didn't hear based on this video. There are witnesses that are saying that, hey, look, they heard the suspect get out of the car and yell for other people around him to help him get back to his firearm. So I did hear the chief say, hey, look, he was walking towards his gun, and that's when the officer elected to utilize the force that he did. So if that comes into play, then keep in mind it's going to go into the investigation, and if the officers or the investigators determine that if this officer was in danger by this suspect and the suspect posed an immediate threat to this officer's life or somebody else's life, then the officer is going to be deemed to have utilized reasonable force. Now, if they determine determined that he could have used other options, i.e. a pepper spray, taser, baton, then he could be deemed to be out of, it wasn't reasonable force, and he could be deemed to be saying, hey, look, he's utilized excessive force and now could be subject to prosecution. So there's a lot that's going to go into it, but what I will caution you on is I caution you on jumping to conclusions just based on the bystander video that you saw. I know it's terrible, and the chief actually described this in a press conference. In these scenarios, nobody wins. The suspect doesn't win, the family of the suspect doesn't win, but neither does the officer. No officer wants to go out there and utilize deadly force against somebody just simply because it is a hard thing to not only overcome, but it also takes a toll on the officer's mental health. So as more information comes about this investigation, I'll keep you guys up to date. But with that being said, let's move on to the next video. In this next video, it always baffles me of why people continue to try to run from officers even when they're in handcuffs. Let's watch.
Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Julie, third for a flight, take it off from me. Get out of the car! Hey, out of the car! Out of the car!
I'm coming.
Put it in park.
I am. I'm coming.
Put it in park, step out.
I will. Just a second, please.
Stop reaching.
I'm not.
Stop reaching. Get out of the car.
Stop grabbing me. I'm scared.
Okay, get out of the car.
One thing that I always fail to realize or fail to understand, I should say, is why people say that they're scared and continue to go against the officer's orders. Like, if it was me and if I'm truly scared, I think I'm going to follow the officer's orders because I don't want anything to go south and I don't want them to do anything that they deem to be a threat towards them that could compromise my life. I don't know. Am I wrong in thinking that? What do you guys think in the comment section below? Why do people say they're scared? Are they just making excuses? I think we all know the answer to that. It's kind of redundant, but I figured I'd throw it out there just as a talking point. Back to the video.
Put your hands behind your back.
Please, I need to tell my partner.
Stop. No, put your hands behind your back. Stop.
Stop.
Stop. You're going to get tased. Do you want to get tased?
No, you don't need to do that. I'm
Okay.
listening.
No, you're not listening. Put your hands behind your back.
In law enforcement, we have these things that are called clues, and we are always looking for them. The reason we're always looking for clues is because clues kind of give us a little insight as to what we're dealing with. And in this video that we're watching, the clue that I picked up on is her wristband. Now, if you look very, very closely to her wristband, it says stay sober. Well, that, my friends, lets me know that this lady has dealt with some sobriety issues in the past, and it's very possible she might be under the influence. But there's also another clue on her left arm. If you notice on her left arm, she has multiple cuts. That would tell me as an officer that she's probably dealt with some mental health issues in the past and tried to unalive herself potentially. They're actually referred to as cutters. Now, the reason why these two things are important is because that lets the officer know that they're possibly dealing with somebody who's intoxicated and possibly dealing with somebody who's mentally unstable who could potentially force their hand into utilizing an additional level of force. Let's continue to watch the video. Let's see how it turns out. But I just wanted to give you guys those little tips and tricks that we pick up on as police officers anytime we're in the field. Let's get back to the video.
Put your hands behind your back and keep them there.
I will listen. Please don't put cuffs on me. Please don't put cuffs
Stop.
on me. Sir, please.
Stop.
The car's on and
I know it is. Julia, 35, or female detained.
Are you gonna take me somewhere?
Taylor, you have a warrant for your arrest.
What do you mean?
You have a warrant for your arrest out of Vermont.
So you have to take me somewhere?
Yeah. As soon as they confirm the warrant, you're going to be taken somewhere. Yeah, you got to go to jail.
Why?
Why? Because you got a warrant out of Vermont. Simple. Now you're going for escape.
No, please. I'm just scared. Ow, my wrist, my wrist.
Okay, then you shouldn't have ran.
I'm sorry, I'm scared. Ow, ow, ow.
She just took off on me.
I'm sorry, I'm just scared. I'm sorry.
Now, I honestly don't know how far she really thought she was going to get. Look, I'm a former college athlete. I think I can run pretty fast. But you try to run with your hands handcuffed behind your back, I honestly don't think you're going to get too far. And clearly she didn't. And then she says, I'm scared. Again, why are we saying we're scared? If you're scared, cooperate with police. I have a hard time believing that she was actually scared. She was probably trying to either distract the officer or trying to get him away from probably what's in the car, which is probably more drugs. That's another point for you guys. Sometimes they will try to lead you away from what they're trying to hide. In this scenario, she's like, let me get as far away from that vehicle because I don't want them to find what's inside. But you know what? Let's move on to the next video. The next video, man, let me tell you, it is a crazy one. It comes to you from Southern California. Wow. You know what? We just seem to never let people down here in Southern California, where crime is just ever living and rampant as ever. But we have a current governor, who alleges he wants to do a crackdown. Don't know about that. But let's get to the video.
Yes, I'm calling because there is a guy on Figueroa and Figueroa and Olympic. There is a guy with a machete on it and with training people, stopping the traffic, and he's training people to kill him. And he's in a black Mustang. I think it's a black Mustang, but I just have to get away. But he's screaming right now and training people to that.
Is he white, Hispanic, or Asian?
He looks like an Indian.
Did this man really just lick this machete? Now, no joke. I do a lot of scenario-based training. I'm sure a lot of you guys that have followed my channel for any amount of time, you know that. If you haven't noticed that, go and check out Switch. It's another one. It's on our playlist. It's a phenomenal series where we switch the roles between law enforcement and the civilians. But nonetheless, I also do a lot of in-person scenario-based training. And one of the scenarios I do is about a man that is, out of his mind, and he's holding a machete and he's going crazy. And I tell the role player that they have to respond and act accordingly. Now, it's funny because when we actually do the breakdown and we talk about it together, people think I'm outside of my ever-living mind for even creating a scenario as such. And even in the scenario, there's a part where I act like the machete is my girlfriend and I kiss a machete. But I do it because I want people to realize that there's nothing far-fetched in the profession of law enforcement. Hence Exhibit A, as we're watching right now.
But it's important that he parked his car in the middle of the street and he has the machete.
What color shirt and pants is he wearing?
It's a gray. It's kind of a brown shirt.
Brown shorts and what color shirt?
Yeah, and he has short and he has some. Oh my God! Hold on. Well, he's moving now. He's moving now to the.
Kids, stay in school and don't do drugs.
Right there, left. Oh, fuck. Stand by. No. Stay in the car. Stay in the car. Stay in the car. Stay in the car. No, park in space, bro. Stand by. Stand by. Get in, bro. Get in. Go. Get in. All right, we're good. Follow him because of the fucking pets, bro. Stand by. Follow him because of pets.
So what the officer is saying, he's saying follow him because of the peds. What he's referring to is pedestrians. So the guy is clearly out of his mind, but this is a busy intersection, and this is downtown LA, so you know it's busy. If the officers don't stay with this guy, they risk the possible chance of him carjacking somebody or taking somebody hostage who's a pedestrian just minding their own business. So that's why they have to stay with him the moment they find him. Let's continue to watch, because what happens next is he starts to put the officers' lives in danger, not necessarily by him himself, but also from their partners. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Stand by. Stand by, Mike. Stand by. Drop it! Stand by. Get in. Get in the car. Get in. Fuck. Stop! Stop, bro, shoot! Stop, bro, fucking shoot! Stop! Get in. Hey, pursuit.
Alright, into the car now. Loading up his driver. And he's on the go southbound on Figueroa.
Don't show me in pursuit. Figueroa, south of 11th, on that vehicle.
I'm highly surprised that the streets weren't busier in downtown LA, because if you haven't gone down there, that place is a nightmare trying to navigate. So the streets are pretty fairly open. The officers get into a vehicle pursuit now. So now it's continued to evolve from one thing to another, and they're still trying to figure out how they're going to bring this thing to a close. I remember as a police officer, when I would get into vehicle pursuits with people, I would always be thinking like, man, how are we going to stop this? Like, what is the next best thing that we can do to bring this thing to a close? But it's always rapidly evolving. Your decision decision-making ability has to be on point, because one wrong move can cost you everything. So these officers, in their mind, they're trying to figure out a game plan for what's going to happen, but the suspect is the one that actually is going to dictate the next thing that happens.
29, it's going to be for an ADW on appeal.
ADW is assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer.
Stand by, Mike. Stand by. He's going around. He's going around. My side. My side. My side. My side. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. We're good. Stand by. Stand by.
All right, just trying to wrap another officer.
Stand by.
And what's
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stop. Stand by. Crossfire, bro. Crossfire. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
So you notice what they said? They said crossfire. This is what I was referring to earlier. The suspect is in the middle of these officers, and now as he's in the middle of them, he's creating a dire scenario for these officers, because the moment he decides to go after one of these officers, they're going to have to utilize a level of deadly force. But when they do so, they have to be very, very cautious on using it when their officers, their partners, are behind him. This is why, as officers, we always have to have in the back of our mind an understanding of where our partners are at, where pedestrians are at, what's our backstop and beyond. Anytime at the range, one of the range rules is, it says, be aware of your backstop and beyond. And it's not just a training safety rule, it's also used in the field, simply because we always want to know what is behind the target or the threat that we're actually shooting at, simply because you don't want to catch somebody in the crossfire. In this scenario, it's very, very possible that they could have caught their partners in the event that they have to utilize fatal force.
Fuck! You good? Stand by, dude. Stand by. It's gonna go around in circles. Stand by. Crossfire, bro. Fuck! Stop it, man! Stop it! Stand by! Stand by! Stand by, Mike! Crossfire, bro. Fuck! Stop! Stop right now! Shots fired, officer.
Now, for the sake of making sure we stay within the guidelines of YouTube, we had to blur out a lot of that last portion of the video. But the suspect ends up running at the officers with the machete in his hands, and the officers elected to unalive him in order to stop that threat. What's also pretty cool nowadays is, with technology, it allows us to see multiple camera angles and video from different officers and their perspective. Every officer on any critical incident is always going to have a different perspective than their partner. And even though we go through the same standardized training and we are trained to respond to threats a certain way, it doesn't change the way an individual officer may feel, just simply because we all think differently from one another. So by having those extra body cam footage, that's why these agencies will put it out, because every officer has a unique vantage point. They saw it differently, and they're going to react differently. They're going to react according to what they saw, not what necessarily their partners told them to do. These officers did a phenomenal job coordinating this. I mean, this is a very difficult thing to do, especially as rapidly as it was evolving. What started as a crazy man out there for a call for service and escalated to this guy get into a vehicle pursuit, and now it escalates to them charging at one of the officers. I mean, it's talk about a difficult task. The last thing I want to highlight is I keep bringing this up, but there has always been so many people that talk about they need to get social workers involved. Let's just say this guy was mentally ill and he was struggling. This would have not been the time for the social worker to get involved. Social workers are supposed to get involved when they're in a contained environment, meaning this guy is not on a good one. This guy is in a very, very controlled environment, and they can get him more resources and the resources he needs to end up, to help himself with his whatever his situation is. Unless a social worker is trained tactically to respond to incidents and scenarios like this is why I'm not saying social workers are not needed, but this is why social workers do not respond to calls for service like this. With that being said, let's move on to the very last video. And this last one, let me tell you, this is a doozy. When I was in the academy, they trained us on a lot of different things. They trained us on how to respond to mentally ill calls. They trained us to respond to domestic violence calls for service and so many other things. But the reality is you will never, ever be able to train an officer for everything. And as a former training officer, I used to always tell my new trainees, hey, look, I can give you the most. I can tell you about this. I can tell you about that. But it's impossible for me to train you for every scenario that you're going to encounter. Just simply because in law enforcement, there's always going to be something that blows your mind. And this next video is one of them. Let's start the video and I'll break it down for you.
We're looping back around here on the south side.
So it appears like these officers are just in another vehicle pursuit. We've seen a ton of them, right? We've seen it on the local news. Sometimes you might be out and about and you see a pursuit pass by you, but we see these pursuits frequently. And it just seems like just any other one until this next thing happens, what we're about to watch.
20 quick rotates.
Yes, you are seeing this right. This suspect decided to crash his vehicle into JCPenney's at the mall in Texas, and he's now going through the mall, which is very, very crazy. My question for you is, if you're a police officer, how do you respond to this? Do you drive your vehicle in the store right after him? Do you bail out of your vehicle and chase after him? How do you respond? I mean, I don't know if there's a right answer to this, just simply because I've never been involved in something like this. And so I can't begin to start Monday morning quarterbacking and say what the officer should or shouldn't have done, simply because when you're in the moment and you have to make that split-second decision, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. It seems like they just released his body cam because this video actually occurred, or this incident occurred in December of 2024. So I don't know what prompted them to release it now, but man, this only continues to get more wilder. Let's continue.
Down on the ground! Down on the ground! Down! Out of the way! Out of the way! Move out of the way!
So we just spoke about backdrop and beyond. Well, here's another scenario where I hope the officer was thinking about his backdrop and beyond, even more so because they're inside of a mall. So they elect to utilize that deadly force, and they're hoping that it's effective. But what happens is, as they go ahead and utilize that deadly force, watch what the truck does next, because now they're going to have to decide, was it effective or was it ineffective? So there's a couple things that are going on. It's possible that the suspect is trying to accelerate on that vehicle and get it off the wall to continue to flee from the officers. Or it's possible that they were successful in utilizing their deadly force and he is unalived and his foot got stuck on the accelerator. But they don't know. So how do the officers handle this? Do they treat it as a normal high-risk traffic stop, which would mean that all the partners get around, they slow it down, they call the suspect out of the car, and if he doesn't get called out of the car, then they make a tactical approach to the vehicle in order to get him out of that car? Is that the way they go? Or do they speed it up a little bit because there's an exigency, simply because they're in a mall that's crowded with people and they don't know if this guy is continuing to try to flee? Now, these officers are going to have to make that decision rather quickly, because if not, time is of the essence. So let's see what these officers decided to do, and then we're going to talk about whether or not it was the right move, and we'll wrap this video up.
I can have cover if you guys have hands. All right.
I'll hold your hands.
Is it locked up?
Hold your hands.
Hey, You want glove up, partner?
So they decided to make the move up on that driver's side door to make sure that threat is done, and they confirm it. The suspect was unalived, and now they're trying to get EMS in there to see if they can render any type of life-saving measures, but obviously that was ineffective. But I think it was the right decision for those officers to approach that vehicle just simply because they had to make sure that this threat was going to be stopped sooner than later. When you're in a crowded environment like this, especially a mall, you have to be aware of everything that's going on around you. They don't teach this in the academy. I mean, there's no way to teach anything in the academy. It's funny because I guarantee you the officers didn't wake up that morning saying like, yeah, you know what? Today's going to be a great day. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go get in a vehicle pursuit that's going to go into a mall. And then once it goes into a mall, I'm going to have to be the hero and have to stop this threat right outside the J.C. Penney's and next to the children's playground. No, they didn't think about any of that. You see, in law enforcement, you can go from doing a community outreach at the local park to going on a barking dog call, all of a sudden to chasing a suspect who rammed his car into a J.C. Penney's mall, and you're trying to stop him. Police work is a very, very crazy profession, and it requires officers to be able to have the ability to think on their feet, be able to make rational decisions, critically think for themselves, but also keep calm and try to stay level-headed. I think that there's a lot of good officers or potential officers that can go out there and do this job, and honestly, the profession needs people like you. If you don't know, I'm actually in the process of developing a recruiting firm for the profession of law enforcement and fire and so many other organizations within public safety, and so I'll keep you updated on that. But with that being said, man, today's videos were wild, weren't they? I love giving you guys these videos because there is a very unique vantage point that officers have that the general public doesn't have. So my goal is just being able to educate you as you see these videos that go viral, so that way you have a little bit of a better understanding than the average Joe, and you can apply context to these scenarios as opposed to just being sensationalized by what you see. But I appreciate you as always. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most importantly, turn that notification bell on so that way you get notified the next time we drop our new video. Thanks for hanging out with me on the Ryan Tillman Show, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care and God bless.